Hello, welcome to the Medical Maze. I'm your host, Donnellen Ray, and today we're going to be talking about sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease with our in-studio guest, Cameron Bims. But first, we got to say hello to Phil.
Hey, welcome. You know, a lot of people do have this disease, but a lot of people don't know about this disease. I mean, we were talking off camera and we were getting stuff wrong, so.
Yes, yeah, that's so true. It is something that you hear about, but do you really know what it is? And that's where Cameron's going to come in today. So hello, Cameron.
Hello.
Well, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being with us and being willing to talk about this. It's like I said, people hear about it, but what do we really know about it? So first off, let's just do the basics of what is sickle cell anemia or disease. And the reason I say that is because I've heard in doing some research that the disease just encompasses some other conditions besides just the anemia. So whatever you're comfortable with, and I think you said you have actually the anemia.
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So what is that?
It is a hereditary disease, so I was born with it.
Okay.
It is when your blood cells, your red blood cells, instead of being circular, they are sickle shaped, which are like half moons. And so they don't flow necessarily, causing kind of like a lack of oxygen to your blood flow, which in turn brings on like a pain crisis, a sickle cell pain crisis.
Oh, is that like your first symptom is like this pain? So it sounds like they clump together because of their shape.
Yes.
And blocking
Yes.
the flow, which causes pain. Okay, and it's hereditary for you, you said. So
Yes.
You were diagnosed when
I was born. I have an older brother that has sickle cell disease. I have a sister that has trait, ironically, same parents. And so they just tested me because of my brother, because I have an older brother with the disease.
Wow, and that's interesting too, because when I was doing this research, I tried to at least prepare to some extent about these conditions to have some sort of base information about it. And I thought it was interesting about trait versus disease. So, Phil, can you bring up the chart? I believe that's the first chart that has that on there.
The traits?
Yeah, it has trait versus disease. I think it also talks about what sickle cell is. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and there's an example, if you notice, of the sickle cell shape.
Sickle cell, yep.
Right.
Half moons.
Yeah, the half moons. But I thought this was interesting because it says that they can have the trait because they inherit just one of the
genes.
One of the genes.
Yeah, which is so crazy. Like,
yeah,
that all three of us have the same parents, but only two of us have. So that means we got one of the genes from each of our parents.
Yeah. And then, so for two of you, and then the third one just got one.
Yes.
Isn't that really interesting?
Yes.
Have you seen a big difference between like your symptoms and your condition versus the one that just has a trait?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So when you have the trait, it's very mild. Like you might have like a vitamin D deficiency or like an iron deficiency is normal when you have the trait. Lost my train of thought.
That's okay. Versus the where you have the disease.
Versus if you have the disease, like your constant pain, constant trips to the hospital, hydration, staying hydrated, obviously, like through water because it carries oxygen, is important. Absolutely a huge difference. My sister was never in the hospital.
Really?
With the trait.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was hospitalized, I think, for the first time when I was, I don't know, maybe 4 months or 5 months old.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's when they kind of really figured it out? Or, you said you were tested at birth, but that was your first episode?
Yeah, that was my first, crisis.
I see.
Which would be, I couldn't imagine as a parent, trying to figure out, your baby in pain. So.
I can't imagine that either. So what kind of treatments do they give children?
Hydration.
Okay.
A lot of kids when they're younger are placed on antibiotics, just to try to prevent infection.
I was going to say, because it that doesn't stop them from those sickle
cells from
clogging.
I mean, a light pain medicine regimen as like a baby, like Tylenol. You get something lighter as a kid, you know.
So does it just pass eventually? I mean, do they like get unclogged somehow?
No,
and I
through
don't
blood
mean to
transfusions also. I've had a lot of blood transfusions. So I don't know how old I was when I got my first blood transfusion, but that is something obviously that like replenishes your cells. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk about some more of that stuff. But so Phil, let's look at the chart, because I think this condition affects certain populations of people.
yes.
Right. And with, I guess, primary being African Americans.
Yes.
But I was also interested to see, Phil, I think it's a couple charts over on that is also Hispanics from, I think, parts of Central America.
Like Middle Eastern countries.
And then Mediterranean, Middle Eastern, Indian.
Yeah.
I just thought that was fascinating.
Why,
I guess
why do white people don't
wonder
get this?
Pardon me?
Let's be real. Why do white people don't get this?
Well, that's what you
That's
hear.
not true, but they usually, like, my hematologist was telling me that he just had a new patient. He's like, is this a joke? A Caucasian man, but you don't know, like, his roots maybe are...
Right.
But he has beta thalassemia, which is another form of sickle cell.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting, because you don't know someone's...
You don't know their lineage. You don't ever know, so...
Well, that's interesting, but yes, I am more familiar with hearing it of the African American population.
That's like the prominent population that it's in for sure.
Yeah. So, and there's also different kinds, and you have this.
I have the SS.
And
yes.
So there's different kinds, and it depends upon what genes you inherited, correct?
From each parent. Yes.
From each parent. Okay, so you're an SS. So if you could kind of explain that, and I think that's the.
So I have the S gene from each of my parents. So both of my parents have trait.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yes. So
they don't. Wow.
Yes.
2 traits, and you guys got
the disease.
2
of us got the disease. One of us got
the trait. Interesting.
So it's a 50-50 type.
Yeah. Okay, so you got the SS from both of them.
The S gene.
The S gene, sorry.
Yes,
from both of them.
One from each of them, yes.
Okay.
So then it combines, and then it's SS.
And then it's SS.
And then, so then what kind of, and I think that's probably the most common, isn't it?
It is, yes. Like, SS is the most, I think it's 65. Is that what you guys have? Yeah.
Yeah, 65% of the people that have it. So what is different? Is it different in the symptoms, or is it just...
It's the most severe.
Oh,
so
gosh.
It doesn't... And it's insane, because if you look at me, I don't look sick. Like...
Right.
My eyes might be a little jaundiced sometimes, but it's definitely... It's not a mild form of the disease. It's the most severe. So your pain symptoms are more severe. Eventually it starts to affect like your other organs,
Does it? Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So then the other kinds, Phil, we'll just briefly go over those, but there is this hemoglobin SC, and I assume, and that's more mild or moderate, and that's only 25%. So,
yes.
And that's just, they're inheriting the C, I guess, an S and a C.
C, yes.
Okay. So the combination there, but you and your other,
we have SS.
You both have SS.
We both have SS.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting. And then there's a third kind, I believe, right?
Yeah, beta thalassemia.
Is that the one you were mentioning from?
Yes.
That the Caucasian.
Yeah, but it's not. I don't know how. Let's see. I don't know how common beta thalassemia is. Sorry, Phil.
Oh, I don't even think we have it on there. 8%. 8%.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the other one is 2% 0. So I guess there's 2 different types.
Okay. Interesting though, and it just all is in what you inherited, what gene you inherited
from your parents. Yes.
Wow, that's interesting. That's really interesting. So, you said that your first time in the hospital, I guess, was when you were.
I was young. Yeah.
My
first memorable hospital experience was probably when I was like 5.
So how many, if you don't mind to ask, how many have you had? How many trips have you made over this condition?
I don't know, hundreds.
It's been that many?
Probably in the last like 10 years, I've had at least 15 hospital stays.
Really?
At least.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I get sick. I'm doing better now, but you know, there's different medicines and stuff, but I was getting sick probably at least like 2 to 3 times a year, like getting hospitalized for like a week or two. Yeah.
A week or wow.
Yes.
And then they're giving you just, I guess, some pain medicine, maybe the blood
Pain
transfusion.
medicine, hydration, oxygen, and just rest, honestly. And the main thing I think is like the hydration. I feel like that's what brings me back to life. And then also like controlling my pain when I first get there.
Okay. So do you feel it coming on? Do you, or does it just kind of hit you?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So it depends. It could be a weather change could affect it. Yeah. Like whether it's like, you know, Florida. So hot or cold, or, stress is a big thing.
Okay.
Dehydration. So that might kind of play in tune with like the weather.
Okay. Well, like when I see, what about if you go on a plane ride and you know,
I actually go to New York once a month.
Oh,
Once
do
a
you?
month?
Yes. And almost a year ago, it was like I try not to go in the winter anymore because last year I got acute chest syndrome, which is like really common in sickle cell patients.
Really?
And it's just like a hard upper respiratory infection, and 91% of my cells were sickled. And I flew home in a full crisis, and I was in ICU for 2 weeks, and I had to get like I was intubated for a week.
Really?
Yes. On February 27th will be a year. And so I was like, I can't go there in February. It was just too cold for me. Too cold.
Really?
And then the plane ride.
Well, I was thinking dehydration sometimes happens when you're.
And then the altitude.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm going to ask you a real question here, okay?
Okay, go ahead, Phil.
Since you own your own business, right?
Yes.
Is your condition a reason why you have to own your own business? Because I would assume that.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Working at a regular job would be difficult.
My background is in early childhood education,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually worked at a preschool for 6 years, and I had the most amazing boss who was so understanding. And there's even times where I was like, you know, when you are just like, you know, I'm 40, but when you are just trying to live. And so I would like go to work and just like a little bit of pain. And, you know, my old boss has taken me to the ER.
Oh.
Like, so, but it's extreme. It's easier for me to have and make my own schedule.
Yeah.
For the sake of, you know, it's hard to, you know, it's hard. It's hard on my body. It's, you know, if I get sick, then I'm missing a week or two of work.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, and Phil, I think we have a chart on some symptoms, because you did mention the chest syndrome, and I think that's one of them.
Yep.
Oh,
Yes.
I do like this chart here. If we can go back just for a second, because this is where we were talking about trait versus, versus disease and anemia, and because, you know, we seem to hear a lot about anemia.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting when I was researching this that, you know, they have this sickle cell disease because it encompasses other things. And on here it was saying your pain, and I guess they're classifying all of those, what you're thinking of as symptoms of just the anemia, or for you it's all intertwined.
Yes.
They're saying, oh, well, those pain episodes, the anemia, jaundice, which you mentioned just a minute ago.
Or sometimes when babies are born with sickle cell, they have to go, because they come out like with their bodies like yellow. So they'll put them like in the light and stuff like that. But jaundice is
big, huh, when they're born.
But that even when you're older too, because like it said on the chart, the different, how it affects your different organs and stuff like that. So obviously, like if you're taking a lot of Tylenol, it starts to obviously affect your liver, but then you have sickle cells also attacking like your liver or your kidneys, which in turn make you jaundice.
Yeah.
So, because of your bilirubin and all that good stuff. So.
Wow. Yeah. So I just thought it was interesting just because in when I was looking at my references or Cleveland Clinic or Mayo, they just they classified all of that, but you're saying you have all those anyway with your anemia. Every episode,
Yes.
you have all of those anyway. So Phil, we can go back and look at all those symptoms that I thought. There's no pain. It can cause organ damage and failure, which you were saying, because if it goes and gets into your organs.
I don't have a gallbladder.
You don't have a gallbladder.
I don't have a gallbladder, and I have a shrunken spleen.
Because of that?
Just from my sickle cell, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Huh. That's really interesting. Unbelievable. So there's the anemia, which you have.
Acute chest syndrome.
Your acute chest
which
syndrome.
I had. That was my first and only time. Blood clots. They check you every time in the hospital for blood clots.
Oh, do they?
Also because you're just laying there.
Yeah, and then of course we all know that's blocked by I guess this
Where the sickle cells.
Where it's blocking something. So and if it, I don't know if they just open up or how that works, that it somehow, your crisis is over, and maybe it's the blood transfusion.
The hydration. It's the hydration and keeping your pain under control. And now they have like different medicines that you could be on like daily that help with like your fetal hemoglobin, which is like your new hemoglobin, like helping it stay, I guess, unsickled longer. I don't really know how to explain it.
No, that's okay.
But sickled cells only live 13 to like 26 days.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So then maybe that's the reason they eventually.
You're just
because they die.
And you're getting hydrated and you're getting blood transfusion. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
I used to work at Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children.
Oh wow.
And I had children who had sickle cell, right? And they told me what their pain felt like. So tell me, I'll tell you what they said, and then you tell me if it's correct. So they said when they would go through pain, it felt like their skin was like needles were everywhere in like their whole entire body.
Yeah, it feels like glass shards, I
Yes,
guess, is
Really?
like a better way to like, it's almost to where you can't, not almost, it is, to where sometimes when I'm in crisis, like I can't stand up, like my knees will just like, or I can't, like it just hurts. You can't explain it. But that is a good way to try to describe it, is like glass shards, like somebody just sticking thousands of glass shards like through your body.
Really?
Painful.
Yeah, I should say. And then if you have that and you have other symptoms too, like the chest thing or something else. I mean,
it's like you're having a hard time breathing, and now you're in pain, and it's like, what do you focus on?
Yeah, and you traveled. I can't imagine how you could travel like that. I would just be so miserable.
I was like, I'm gonna go home after the airport, and then I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm gonna go to the ER, and that's exactly what I did. And
so you came home and then went to the hospital. You weren't
I started to feel bad like the day before. So that's why I said yes and no. Like you kind of know, and as you get older, you become familiar with your body.
Sure.
So so I flew home, and I thought it's a 2-hour flight. And I figured, okay, well, my support system is here. My doctor's here.
Yeah.
It only makes more sense to be somewhere where I know everybody, and as soon as I landed, I went right to the ER, and I was admitted. I was there for 2 days, and then one of the nurses was like, it seems like my breathing was off, and hooked me to the oxygen, and my oxygen was like 20 or 24%.
Oh,
yes.
Really?
And so they were like, oh no, like,
you're not going anywhere.
Take you to ICU.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Because I was thinking, like, if you went to the hospital there, like you said, your support system's here and your doctors are here.
It's a hit or miss, too, with, like, sickle cell patients, because this is unfortunate, but because, again, we look like if you see me walking, you would never think that I have a chronic illness, but that they are seeking like pain meds, or that they are
really,
yes. And so it's for me, I have a plan of care. Like when I go to the ER, there's no question about what to do. I have a written paper from my doctor.
Okay.
I had to contact my doctor. Instead of, because even sometimes in the emergency room, if it's a new doctor and they're unfamiliar and
they'll judge you.
They went to school, when they only had a 2-week portion of their curriculum about sickle cell.
Sure.
And they don't know. And they don't know. They only know what they hear. And so.
Well, it's almost like do you like carry a card? I'm
No.
a card-carrying member of
no.
sickle cell, disease.
You need one, right?
Yeah,
right,
it's like seriously.
yeah.
So I mean, I can see because if pain is the biggest,
Yeah.
thing or the first thing you kind of start noticing.
Yeah. And it's like excruciating pain.
Oh, wow. And then to not be believed.
It's kind of dramatic, but
Well, it
even
sounds.
it is. It hurts, and it's.
I mean, glass
painful.
shards. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's got to be. Got to be. That just in my mind. That's
it's painful. Oh yeah.
wow. So then that was that incident. So this is happening to you. What about your sibling? Are they also a frequent
Not
flyer at the
really.
hospital
Not,
or
it's
frequent?
so crazy. Not really.
Really? Okay.
But my brother's had like a stroke. When
Well,
he
that was another symptom,
Yeah.
a stroke.
I think that my brother got sick a lot more when he was younger. He's had acute chest syndrome as an adult. But because he was born in, not to tell his age, he's born in 79.
Okay.
But they didn't have.
I'm counting here. Wait, no.
Yeah, he's 44, so they didn't have as much like medical knowledge about sickle cell as
Really?
they do now. So
Okay.
they told my mom that he was only going to live to be 5, and he's
Oh.
44. So
Wow.
yeah. So when my brother was younger, he went through a lot of different like surgeries and things like that.
Seriously, what kind
Yeah.
of surgery? I mean, you can't.
I mean, even like he had surgery like on his feet because his toes were like starting, and it's like from your sickle cells, or a lot of sickle cell patients wear glasses.
Does it affect their vision?
It does affect your vision.
Really?
It does, yeah. I see an ophthalmologist, which is not an optometrist. It's where they could take pictures of your eye. And from
Sure.
me having so many crises, I do have like some of my blood vessels in my eyes that are just like stopped. I wear glasses. I don't have them on right now.
Right,
But I
right.
do wear glasses. It does start to affect your vision for sure.
Really?
Oh yeah.
But for him as a childhood, it was affecting the shape of his.
Of his feet.
Seriously?
Yes.
Really?
He doesn't have a gallbladder, and this is before they did it laparoscopically. This is when they cut you.
Oh, as a kid, he did
yes,
it. Oh.
yeah.
So why the gallbladder though? Why does that something
I
that
think
gets removed?
ironically, the sickle cells attack the gallbladder in most patients first.
Really?
And so they or you'll get. I don't know why we develop gallstones easier also. So that is a reason for them to take your gallbladder. A lot of sickle cell patients don't have their gallbladder.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. This is just fascinating. I mean, you hear about this, but like we were saying, do you really know
Yeah.
what it means? And I'm not sorry to your brother. I'm not trying to get into his stuff.
No,
I was
you're
just
good. Go
I was
ahead.
just
Yeah.
wondering though,
Yeah. Well, because it starts to affect your body. Oh yeah.
and then 2 siblings in the same family, did you have different severity of symptoms? Did you have different, but it sounds like his were younger.
Yeah.
Where yours has kind of been spread out.
I feel like mine are like a little bit worse now that I'm older, but now I have an amazing hematologist. So like that, my big thing is preventative care. Like I don't want to spend a week in the hospital.
Oh, I bet.
If I have to come in for hydration or, I do have an iron overload too from too many blood transfusions.
Really?
Yeah. So I take a medicine I get an infusion once a month that takes the iron out of my.
Seriously,
Yeah.
who would have thought
Yeah.
that from
It's so
the
many,
treatment would cause you
so many other things.
yeah,
Oh,
like
yeah.
that on a blood transfusion. Who would have thought
Yeah.
that?
So,
Oh yeah.
So do you do like the IV hydration therapies?
No, and I actually have a port in my chest. I don't have
What?
I don't have any veins.
You don't have any veins
Yeah, I don't
left?
have any veins because that's like I have a blood disease. Like they're poking and
Sure,
prodding at you as
sure.
you're growing up and your body is changing. And so I've had my port for 8 years, I think. And easy, but I don't know. I don't really like, I have a good hematologist. So if I'm feeling like run down, all right, like, sometimes when you feel good, you feel good. So you just work until you don't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, okay, like can I come in for hydration? And I will get hydration.
So you at least try to stay on top of it.
Yeah.
You're
Oh,
really,
yeah.
I'd be like you. Sorry, but
Yeah,
just for
I
the
don't wanna
food
do
alone,
that.
I wouldn't be in the hospital. Sorry.
You're right. I don't eat hospital food either. Ugh, what?
How have your relationships been? Because
I'm in a relationship. Oh, like
So-
I've been in a relationship for a year, but
So
I don't
good.
know. I have, and I do have 2 children. I do have 2 kids. I have I have 2 adult children. I have an 18-year-old and a 20-year-old, and I actually have a granddaughter.
get out.
I do. She's
wouldn't have
1.
thought so either.
Yeah.
So did your kids get it?
Nope, my kids have the trait. And my kids are educated about sickle cell, 100%.
Oh, that's.
I don't want them to have to
Yeah.
not that but
Yeah.
it's not like I just want them to be cautious when it comes to that.
And what about your granddaughter?
Trait.
Trait too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you said that your other sibling with the trait doesn't have nearly the.
She doesn't have, yeah.
Yeah. I think you said she might have fatigue or tired or something like.
she takes sometimes iron supplements. But
Okay.
That's the extent of the excitement for her.
But no hospitals.
She said
no.
extent of the excitement.
Yeah, no hospitals or no, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Phil. What was that?
No, she said that's the extent of her. Do y'all make fun of her? But stop whining, you little baby. You don't have it like we have
We're
it.
it must be nice.
Yeah. Little envious for sure. Wow. So okay, but your kids are good.
Mm-hmm.
So he was where he was going. I think, relationship wise. So because you have to sometimes be in the hospital and the treatments and certain
I think
things.
when I was younger, not that I was embarrassed that I had sickle cell, but it's just when you're younger and you're dealing with young men, it's hard to be hey, I'm in the hospital for a week. I have a chronic illness,
Just say you don't like me, jeez.
Right. But I don't know. I'm in a long distance relationship.
Oh, long distance.
That's
Okay.
all right.
Oh, that's why she goes to New York every month.
I don't go he comes here too, but I just cut that out, Phil.
I know
I'm for the streets.
feels like the private detective over here, isn't he?
Right.
Where's my Law and Order sound effect?
No. Yeah.
But I'm sure as you're older and
But you encounter men that even my now, sometimes they just don't know how to deal with it when you're in crisis and you're crying. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with.
Yeah. But think about the patient who's got it
But
and what
my
they're
kids
dealing with.
too, my kids are so unfortunately well versed in what to do if they're home and I got sick. And it's been like this since they were 13 and 14.
Okay.
So do you need water? They'll usually go stay with my mom or my sister.
Sure.
Because it obviously affects their life also.
And that's a good point too. It's it's not just you. It is your support system.
Yeah.
Your parents, your kids, your significant others. It's
My
just,
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
it
yeah.
affects your whole kind of support system there and how that, it sounds like you got a good one because you have all learned through all these years and all the experiences kind of what happens. Like you said, you've taught your children.
My girlfriends too, they're okay, some of my girlfriends will be okay, we'll go get the kids, or
good.
or even, some people think it stops when you get out of the hospital, but coming off of pain medicine is not fun every time.
Oh yeah.
Or just you've been laying down in a hospital bed for a week and a half, so you don't have the strength that you normally would. So just even your support system in your aftercare, my girlfriends will send groceries, or
that's nice. Yeah.
do you need us to come clean up, or do you need us to take you somewhere? I'm chauffeur me around, please. But yeah.
Well, okay. So what about, and you mentioned your girlfriends, what about your social life? So is it kind of hit or miss? Today I feel like I can go out and have dinner with my friends.
When I was younger, if I made plans, I would be I got to keep them. But now it's I my health is first. So if I don't feel good and I made plans to do something and I have to cancel, like, I'm sorry. Or, sometimes it's so hard to buy tickets to things in advance when you have sickle cell.
Oh, yeah.
Because like, you never know.
You never know.
You never
like
know.
a concert or
Yeah,
something.
like a
that's
concert, and even like excitement can set you into a crisis. Like,
I was going to ask you that too. The stress and all that stuff.
Yeah,
affect it?
like just being like too
hyped up or
too
something,
hyped
or
up,
excited or something.
Yeah, will send you into a crisis sometimes. So
really, wow. So yeah, you definitely have to just, and it sounds like your friends are kind of very forgiving of that and understand that.
Awesome. Oh,
yeah, and that is an important thing to understand. And as you get older, I think maybe we have a better understanding of diseases and chronic conditions and stuff, and people are more understanding, as opposed to, I can understand when you're younger trying to date.
Yeah.
You don't, maybe you don't even tell them at first because you don't want them to think, oh my God.
You don't tell them at first.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you don't want them to think, oh my God, and just hit the high road.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Before you've even had a chance to see where this could go. And that doesn't mean that even then that, you were going to have a crisis. Is kind of, sounds like it's unpredictable. It depends on, like you said, various circumstances and things that are happening that may bring it on. But yeah, that's harder. I think it's easier to kind of grasp maybe as we get older. Maybe it's because I don't know, our parents get older and we see them go through things. Or you
get older too and you're just like, I'm just like it. I'm not that I'm like really good by myself, but I am. You just get used to like being on your own when it comes to that. I can drive myself to the hospital, or I can, again, I have a great support system. My friends, I have really amazing girlfriends, so
you can call or whatever. But and it's true. I mean, if you're comfortable being by yourself, and then if someone happens to come into your life and
add to it, then it's fine.
Then that's great.
Then it's also okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah, so that's great. So, and going back to, I was just thinking about, you said your brother had a stroke.
Yes.
I know that was one of the symptoms on the charts, and sorry, I'm going back a little bit, but it just was, does he have like lingering?
No.
Okay, no long-term effects from that.
He was like, I think like 5 or 6 when he had a stroke.
Oh.
Yeah. He was younger. Yeah.
As a parent, I could. Yeah, they'd have to pick me up out of the floor, probably. On something.
Me too.
Yeah. I, as a child with a stroke like that, so there was no
long-term effects.
That's good, because I was just wondering, because then that adds on to what you already have to deal with.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about some treatments. And I know that you mentioned what you've gone through, and Phil, I think there's a chart of some treatments here. I know that you mentioned medications before.
Yes.
So there was some medications listed here. I don't know if any of them you do.
Yes, I actually am on hydroxyurea, which is that is what helps with the fetal hemoglobin, is the hydroxyurea.
Okay.
It's supposed to like spread your crisis out also.
Okay.
I've only been on, I was on it before and it wasn't really like doing anything. And so we're just trying it again. So.
And you feel like it's helping?
I feel like it's, I have a really good hematologist. Like,
So what's the first thing they would do though? I mean, I know that when you're having a crisis, then it's about managing those symptoms.
Yeah.
So the pain, the hydration, the blood transfusion,
oxygen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your oxygen probably, your blood isn't.
They have so many new medicines also, though. So I was on a medicine for 1.5 years.
Okay.
And we found out that it was making my crisis worse. Once we like sat down, we were like, you were like really sick and you never get, and I was getting sick like every 2 to 3 months. And I'm like, what is it? And it was an infusion that I was getting that was also supposed to help like spread out the time in between my crisis. But so I'm not on that anymore. And you could feel it. I would even get it, and I would just be like so tired after. And it's a 4-hour thing, and I would like sleep the whole time in the infusion center, and then I would go home and sleep. And I'm like, why do I feel like this if I'm getting hydration and this medicine that's supposed to be helping me? And so I'm not on it anymore.
Okay, so and maybe for different people it
does different things. Yeah. So
what about your brother? Is he on certain medications?
My brother's on hydroxyurea too,
like
and I think he's on that like L-glutamine. L-glutamine.
Oh yeah, a pain reliever used to help reduce the number of pain crises you have. Okay, does he feel that that's helping him, or do you know?
Yeah.
Okay, and I guess it's kind of hit or miss. You got to try different things.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Different people, probably, it relate to different things, or it seemed to they react to different things differently. So, well, that's good. I mean, at least there's something that you can take or do.
Yeah, they'll always try like different things. It just, again, it's like person to person. Everybody's makeup is different. So what's your average is for between crises? Is it 4 months, 5 months, 6 months now? Let's see.
Because I was just thinking what you said, it can last.
I haven't had a crisis in 4 months.
Oh, good.
So yeah, that's like really good for me.
Yeah.
So, and I feel good.
Can we knock on wood? I mean,
I know. Where's it at?
Yeah. So do you think, did you start taking that new medicine?
I got off of the other medicine. I started taking a new medicine, and then again, hydration.
Yeah.
And I don't drink anything really but water. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nothing else, really?
Every
just,
now and then.
I mean, yes, I understand.
90% like juice every now and then.
Okay.
I'll have a glass of wine, but like not.
Or like sports drinks or anything like that, or the
electrolytes. I use
can
like
do that.
electrolyte, like the packets of electrolytes.
The powder, or whatever you can put into your. Okay.
So does a bad diet, can that trigger
A bad
stuff?
diet absolutely can affect anybody. Like
even with really.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I better stop eating
like
Cheetos.
a lot of fried foods. They actually they have a sickle cell diet.
Oh, do they?
They do. So it's just like a basic diet. It's low carb. Not a lot of beef. It's like fish, chicken, berries, and then greens like.
Oh, really? Okay.
Cucumbers, asparagus, watermelon, stuff like that. Just it's a clean diet.
It's a clean diet, yeah, or something very,
Yeah.
It sounds like
you
low.
can feel the difference though if you like, for sure. Because I eat pretty clean too. So
like, is birthday cake out of the question?
Absolutely
Something
not.
like that. Okay.
Treat yourself. Hello.
Okay. Just had to check there. I just,
They say, or low sugar too. Like they say that sugar will, if you have like too much sugar. Isn't that weird? Like they say too much sugar can set you in a crisis too.
Really?
Like eating too much sugar. That's wild.
Yeah. I
wonder how much sugar you'd have to eat to set you in a crisis.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't test it, but still,
I wouldn't either.
Yeah. Because what about that would make these sickle cells clump or whatever it is that would cause it? Because that's really what happens, right? When you start in the crisis is they start clumping and you block something, right?
Yeah.
So blocks the flow of blood and, there goes your oxygen, it causes the pain there.
And then
Then you're going, oh, well, how'd that cupcake do that or something, What happened
I think
there?
it's got to be more than one cupcake, though.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned alcohol, so sugar,
Yeah, the sugar and alcohol dehydrates you. So
yes, that makes sense.
It's too, or this is what a lot of sickle cell patients do, is if you have a drink, then you follow it with 2 glasses of water.
Okay.
And that is supposed to be the recipe. Don't know, but
right.
Well,
it's not worth it to you.
It's not worth it. It's not. It's too. It doesn't feel good. So it's not. Yeah.
So do you belong to because we're talking about support groups and stuff and support system? Do you belong to like support groups or sickle cell groups?
I am not in any support groups. I have a girlfriend that just started the Pink Foundation, so it is going to offer support to the sickle cell community in Orlando, raising awareness. When I was younger, I think that we spoke about this before. I was I went to a sickle cell camp in California. They have a big sickle cell population in California. And then when I got older, I sought out a foundation that did a camp. And they don't have one in Florida, but they have one in Georgia, which is not far. So 2 years pre-pandemic, I was a camp counselor at Camp New Hope in Georgia.
Oh, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, so it's just like a bunch of kids with sickle cell. We're in the woods. There's cabins out there, but they have a whole team of doctors and nurses. Of course, if anybody gets sick, they have like an infirmary. And then it's just them doing a bunch of normal stuff like horseback riding, canoeing, archery. It's a shame that we really, okay, everybody, that. We need that in Florida. Yes.
We need that in Florida. We have such great natural resources and areas in the state. Yeah. So folks, come on, we need to go and try to get this, and maybe, I don't know, maybe your friend could spearhead, or you could, but since you have the experience, but I'm not, tagging you with that. I'm just saying that, wow, that would be great to have here.
Yeah.
Do you know what, I know we're in Florida, but do you know just by chance what the population of sickle cell?
Georgia has a bigger population of sickle cell, and I don't know if
is it because the more black people there?
Yeah, because it's predominantly African American in
Atlanta.
I see. Even in their hospital, they have what they call a sickle cell center. So instead of like here, if you go to the ER, like they're gonna give you one like low dose of like pain medicine, and then if you're not feeling better, you're staying. As into where Georgia, they have a sickle cell center where you go there, you have 9 to 12 hours. They're gonna hydrate you. They're gonna give you pain medicine. And then, because sometimes your crisis is not so severe that you need to stay in the hospital, but sometimes it's severe enough that you need help getting it under control.
Sure.
And so you can stay there 9 to 12 hours, get hydration, rest, and then at the end of that 12 hours, they decide, do you need to stay or do you need to go? But they are also like a lot more knowledgeable because of the population.
I really, or if they could even maybe help, build up a camp down here, or with their experience, and say these are the things that we see. Who can we? I mean, we have some great hospitals here.
Yeah,
you have a great doctor. We have great resources. Natural. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Disney could help with Fort Wilderness. I'm just saying that anyone that Disney, but there's like Fort Wilderness there, and they have the camping and stuff, and could maybe help support that. But something I would like to think that in.
You need it. They need it here for sure.
Certainly. It's not like we don't have any patients here that have that. That would be great. That would be great. And anything else? I mean, I'm sure, are you part of like Facebook groups or?
Oh yeah, I'm in just like sickle cell support groups. They talk about just like daily struggles. I've met a few people off of like TikTok or Instagram who, there's a rapper. His name's AR the Prophet. He is a rapper.
Okay.
And he's got quite the following, and he has sickle cell anemia.
Okay. He's very vocal about it and out there with it.
So he does a lot of like spreading awareness. I have a girlfriend that's in Georgia that I made friends with at camp. And she does a lot of like skate nights. I'm like, you guys need to come here, like come to Florida, and it's to raise money for the foundation or
One of the rapper would do a concert or something for sickle cell in Florida.
Look at all your ideas.
I know. I want to get awareness out there too. Yes. I really do. I find it sad that as Florida, we're kind of pulling up the rear here. Where we have some great resources here.
We do.
And if we can maybe talk to your rapper friend, I don't know, and do a concert about it or something. I just think that, anything and everything, like you coming here today and educating me for sure on all of this, all the conditions and all the treatments and everything. I mean, I just so appreciate that because I've heard it all my life, but did not know really what all it involved. Is there any, like for those that are listening or any viewers, then, donation, any place we can donate or any? any sort of involvement that they can do that can help?
I would say donating blood helps.
Okay.
If
Okay.
you can do, I don't know if you can like donate blood in someone's name, but donating blood.
Okay. I forgive me for saying this, and this might show my ignorance here, but is there like certain blood types that are more needed? O positive is more universal, or
I don't
or
know.
O, or
That's a good question. I just know that like when you get a lot of blood transfusions, like your blood starts to build up antibodies.
okay.
So like my blood never comes from the hospital that I'm at ever because I have antibodies. So like from getting it there, and then I don't really know, like that's like really like a scientific thing. But,
Sure.
So it comes from South Hospital. It doesn't ever come from the hospital that I go to.
Really?
Yeah. So donating blood, just looking up. I know that they have like a weekend sickle cell camp, I believe, at like Boggy Creek, but it's super hard to get like in as a volunteer.
What? Okay, so is there a certain time of year? Do they do? I mean,
No, it's different every year. I've noticed,
but they do it annually.
But they do it annually, yes.
So we have something. It's
we have something.
Just,
Yeah, it's just
okay.
hard to like become a part of.
Really, you'd think that they would want
That they would want, yeah. Or maybe it just like fills up fast. Is maybe
Okay.
Or I want to believe.
Do you know the
So,
name of that camp?
Camp Boggy Creek.
It's just called Camp Boggy
Yeah.
Creek.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, Boggy
Yeah.
Creek.
But yeah, donating blood. I know that my friend has her new foundation. Just
And it's
like,
called, okay, what is that again?
it's
Pink?
called the Pink Foundation.
The Pink Foundation.
Yes.
Okay. So I assume, is she on Facebook?
Yes, she's
Insta,
on Facebook. Yep.
all your usuals. Okay. Okay, so they can go there. And I'm sure, and I don't know, Phil, did I do on these charts? I think there's a reference page. There might be a couple.
Yeah, there's like a
couple Facebook.
sicklecelldisease.org.
Okay.
Is
So like a national?
Yeah, that's like a national one.
Okay. Oh, good. Here, thank you, Phil.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there's
Yeah.
there's like
sicklecelldisease.org. Yeah.
Facebook page. There's Facebook, private
There's
and
Facebook.
public.
There's lots of sickle cell Facebook groups,
Okay.
whether they're to wear awareness or to raise awareness, or if you have sickle cell, or if you have family that has sickle cell, or friends, like just kind of like support groups. So
Okay, great. Because I just say whatever we can do to help spread or help donate or just help with this, because I just, like I said, I mean, there's definitely certain populations that have it more so than others, but it seems to be, and I find it interesting. You said there are pockets like California and then Atlanta, and I guess it's because, like you're saying,
just depends on the area. Yeah, California is like, there's LA. It's the Sickle Cell Foundation is in Los Angeles, and it's predominantly.
And I guess because you're saying
that,
there's concentrations of, say, African Americans or those groups that are affected, then that's where you're going to have your pockets.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't know, what's New York like? Does it have? I'm just thinking of large population bases too. I would think
Chicago has
Chicago. That would make sense. Yeah.
New York, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. Also, like, not that you couldn't, or Denver, which is
Denver.
like, I never would think, but
Right.
Denver has like a sickle cell center.
Okay.
But people with sickle cell, I don't know. I don't want to live in the cold, so it's
Right.
harder to live in the cold. So
Right, because that's a trigger.
'Cause it's
so
a
you
trigger,
don't you don't want to do that. Okay. But
So.
Florida doesn't have a center at all that we know of. No.
No. I heard like a year or two ago that they were supposed to like do something in Miami. I that's a place that I could see, because there's like, there's a large like Haitian population, and like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Where there's that higher.
African Americans, yeah.
Yeah. But Orlando, I mean,
Doesn't,
we
no.
we don't have it.
No, we do
Okay.
not.
Okay. So donate blood. Donate monetarily to an organization that supports this. If
Yes.
there's anyone in that you know of in particular in mind that you want to stress, that's good. Go to the Pink Foundation.
Yes.
Is it .org?
I think it's just like ink.
Okay. And then just be involved in any sort of camps or any sort of activities you can that would, and spread the awareness.
Spread awareness.
Share this podcast with
Yes.
folks.
Share this podcast. Absolutely.
That's right. That's right. And just raise awareness any way you can about this. So Phil, you have any parting comments that?
I mean, I've learned a lot. This is eye opening, and it seems like you have a really good handle on it, though. So
Yes,
that's
thank you. I do. I think so.
So
You
anybody
do.
watch this, just know it'll be okay.
Well, and speaking of raising awareness, do you happen to do you're on our podcast, but do you speak at conferences or do you do anything like that?
I never have. There's not. And that's not an excuse that there's nothing here, but maybe like there, it's like time to maybe like look into like creating something here. I don't though, but I have a lot of friends that do. But there's nothing here. There's nothing really here.
I guess maybe a hematology conference or something where it could even just be a speaker, just keynote or something for that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, or something like that. And I still think you need to talk to your rapper friend, but that's just me. That's just me. So I appreciate your time today and you coming in here and talking to us and helping us to learn about this. It's just really fascinating to me. And like Phil was saying, we learned a lot. And thank you for sharing that.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And maybe we'll reach back out and do a "so what's she doing now" kind of thing and see where you are and what you're doing. Maybe you will be the keynote speaker at a huge conference with your rapper friend doing a concert and going to camp shortly after. I'm hoping, or that there's going to be a sickle cell center here in Central Florida. That would be great.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. So thank you. And I wish you the best of health. And I hope that your crisis periods are long and that you remain in good health. And I just wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
All right. And that's it for this episode of Medical Maze. And we look forward to seeing you again.
See ya.
Bye.